how are you doing, my friends? My name, as you know, my name is David. I'm responding to this video that was made by DemniTube, which is anti-Obama. It says Obama calls low taxes selfishness. Furthermore, in this video, he could, when you try to help people that are poor or at the bottom, he goes on to call it communism. He calls it socialism. Well, how can that be? First of all, number one, I'm going to put it down like this. When you pick people up that in the middle class and at the bottom, and you help them to be able to save money and to have more money, that money gets spent in the stores, gets pumped into businesses, and that goes on to pick up the whole economy. And then the people at the top making more than 250,000 end up making more in the long run. People that are making 250,000 and upwards are rich and can afford at least can afford 3% more in taxes, which Obama is proposing. Number one. Number two, people that are making between 200,000 and 250,000, their taxes will stay the same. People making under 200,000 will get a tax cut. And that's, you're talking about 95% of the population will get a tax cut. So or the taxes will stay the same. So why is this being called communism or socialism? It's beyond me. Number one. Number two, let's respond to some of the comments that were made in this video, and why it's time for a change. We need the Democrats back in the White House. We need a Democrat back in the White House, and we need a Democrat-controlled Senate, and we need a Democrat-controlled Congress. Number one, let's talk about the minimum wage. The minimum wage is not a living wage. It hasn't been a living wage. Hasn't been a living wage for a long time, and the reason it hasn't been a living wage for a long time is it's too low. You can't live off of that. It was from back when Ronald Reagan was president in 1988. The minimum wage was raised to $4.25 an hour. Stayed at $4.25 an hour all the way up until 1996, when it went up to $5.15 an hour. Stayed at $5.15 an hour. Didn't get raised ever again until 2005. Now, but then when it went up in New York State to $6 an hour. Okay? On the federal level, it hasn't been raised to 2007, where now it stands around $7.10 an hour. Okay? It's not a living wage. You try living off of that. You can't live off of that. Rents in New York average $1,000 a month. In Buffalo, where I used to live upstate, my rent was $290 a month. With utilities included, it's $500 a month. And I was trying to live off of $4.25 an hour. It's impossible. And now I'm sure the rents are much higher there with inflation and all that. And the cost of energy is much more now. Number one. Now I want to get to talking about free trade. Free trade with China needs to be abolished, and there needs to be tariffs put back on 60% of the goods that are made here to get our jobs back here again and get our industries back here. It's almost impossible to buy anything or own anything that doesn't say made in China on it. And that's the reason, my friends, why the economy is very bad in this country and why people are losing their homes. People in Ohio have lost a lot of their factory jobs because of everything being made in China, everything being made in India. And that we need to get these jobs back here. And now the people that are on top that caused these policies, they're now getting their behinds kicked in because their stocks are nosediving now. Okay? We need to get those grids made here. And the whole reason why the price of gas is expensive and the price of oil is expensive is now these people in China and India, that only like 5 years ago were riding bikes, they're now all buying cars. And that's the reason for the high costs of oil, and that has further knocked our economy down, and it's further knocked our economy down to where the economy's in the shambles. My friend, what's going on in this country, this is not just a recession, this is a depression, my friend. This is the Great Depression. Inflation is skyrocketing. People at the bottom are starving, are having trouble even so much as saving $1 after every week. Okay? And we need this system, this establishment of the people at the bottom. This would when if you want to call it what it is, call it for what it is. It's a caste system where if you're not born rich, you're just not gonna get anywhere. Plain and simple. And it's time for a change, and the way to get things changed is vote for Barack Obama. Barack Obama for president. Barack Obama is going to be a great president, and he's the one that is going to bring about change. Okay? That's the only way. That's the only way things are going to get changed. Things are going to get changed in this country. We need a president that is for the people that are less fortunate. You're talking, and for the majority of the population that are making less than $250,000 a year. We need a president that's going to be for a majority of the people and in this country. And the way to do that is vote for Barack Obama. We need change. Now the further go on, I want to talk about some of a lot of these cuts, budget cuts that have taken place under Bush. Let's talk about New Orleans. Let's talk about Hurricane Katrina. The Army Corps of Engineers asked for funding from President Bush to get those levees strengthened in New Orleans. 2 years before Hurricane Katrina happened, Bush refused the funding. You know the aftermath of what happened as a result of that. Hurricane Katrina came, and the city of New Orleans got flooded. The Army Corps of Engineers wanted to strengthen those levees, which would have prevented that. And the people in the Ninth Ward, people that are poor, got their belongings destroyed and their homes virtually destroyed and damaged. Plus, a lot of people got killed there. A lot of people the areas that got affected the most were the poor areas, where people wouldn't be able to afford $250 deposit to rent a truck from budget to be able to get their goods, belongings, and get out of there. So as a result, the stuff stayed there and got destroyed. So in Louisiana, how can majority of youth people, be voting for McCain? McCain is going to continue on with the Bush policies. He voted with Bush 95% of the time. You are voting for the same policies that got your goods and your homes destroyed in New Orleans. Number one. Number two, Bush is making budget cuts, but you know what he's doing? He's making budget cuts with your safety. Now, if you want to go even further, a little boy fell to his death through an elevator shaft in the Tabor White House, in one of the New York City housing projects in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. New York City Housing Authority asked for funding for which would have had that elevator replaced 2 years before that. The funding was denied. The elevator stopped in the middle of the floors. Little baby Jacob, trying to escape from that elevator, fell down the shaft to his death right in the basement. Vote for Obama. Vote for a president that's going to be for us.